Throughout history, there have been countless criminal cases that have captivated the public's attention and left investigators scratching their heads. From gruesome murders to unexplained disappearances, unsolved crimes have long been a source of fascination and intrigue for many. These cases not only leave a lasting impact on the families of the victims, but they also raise important questions about the justice system and the limits of law enforcement. Despite advances in forensic science and technology, some cases remain unsolved to this day, leaving us to wonder who the culprits are and what their motives may have been. These mysteries continue to grip our collective imagination, prompting us to search for clues, speculate about suspects, and ultimately seek closure for those affected by these tragic events. Join us as we delve into the world of unsolved crimes, examining some of the most perplexing cases in history and exploring the enduring questions they raise. Starting up with number 10, we have the Delphi murders. The Delphi murders, also known as the Delphi homicides, was a case that has baffled investigators and captivated the public since 2017. On February 13, 2017, two young girls, 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German, went for a hike in the woods near their hometown of Delphi, Indiana. When they didn't return home that evening, their families reported them missing, and a search ensued. The following day, their bodies were found in a secluded wooded area, sparking a massive investigation that has yet to yield any suspects or arrests. Despite extensive efforts by law enforcement and the community, the case has remained unsolved, leading to widespread speculation and conspiracy theories. The investigation has involved the examination of thousands of tips, witness interviews, and forensic evidence, but no arrests have been made. The only known piece of evidence in the case is a recording from Liberty's cell phone, which featured a man's voice saying, "Down the hill." The Delphi murders have sparked widespread interest and concern, with many people sharing information and theories on social media and online forums. The case has been featured in numerous podcasts, TV shows, and articles, and has even inspired a true crime documentary. Some have even speculated that the killer may have connections to other unsolved crimes in the area. Although an Indiana man, Richard Allen, was apprehended as a suspect in connection to this case, he's still in police custody and the case is still dragging due to lack of substantial evidence. Despite the lack of progress in the investigation, the families of Abigail and Liberty continue to seek justice and closure for their loved ones. The case remains open, and law enforcement continues to ask for the public's help to aid their investigations. The Delphi murders serve as a reminder of the importance of community involvement and cooperation in solving even the most difficult of cases. As the investigation continues, the hope for justice and closure for the families of Abigail and Liberty remains strong. The killer may have used the site to target both women. Despite an extensive investigation and a massive manhunt, the Long Island serial killers have never been caught. The case has baffled investigators and captivated the public, with many theories and suspects emerging over the years. But as of now, the killer's identity and motive remain a mystery, leaving the families of the victims and the community at large with more questions than answers. The Long Island serial killers case is a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of our seemingly safe and ordinary lives. It's a story that raises important questions about the role of law enforcement, the impact of technology on our society, and the value we place on human life. As we continue to search for answers and justice for the victims, we must also confront the uncomfortable truths about the dark side of humanity and the need for vigilance in the face of evil. On to the number 8 shocking case, we have the disappearance of the Jamison family. On October 8, 2009, the Jamison family, consisting of Bobby, Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter, Madison, disappeared while on a trip to Red Oak Mountain in Oklahoma. The family's truck was discovered abandoned on a remote dirt road with their belongings, including their dog, still inside. What happened to the Jamison family remains a mystery to this day, with no definitive answers or suspects identified. However, there are many theories about what may have happened to them, ranging from foul play to supernatural occurrences. Some speculate that the family may have fallen victim to drug dealers or other criminals in the area, as Bobby had a history of drug use and was known to have been involved in some shady business dealings. Others believe that the family may have been involved in some sort of cult or religious group, and that their disappearance was related to those activities. Another theory suggests that the family may have been victims of a paranormal encounter, as they reportedly believed that their home was haunted and they had been trying to sell it before their disappearance. One of the most chilling aspects of the case is the fact that the family's cell phones were found inside the truck, with the SIM cards removed. The family's behavior in the days leading up to their disappearance has also raised questions, with reports of them being paranoid and fearful of unknown dangers. Despite extensive searches and investigations, no trace of the Jamison family has ever been found. The case remains open and active, with law enforcement and private investigators continuing to follow up on leads and explore new avenues of investigation. The disappearance of the Jamison family is a haunting reminder of the many mysteries in our world. It raises important questions about the limits of our understanding and the many unknown forces that may impact our lives. While the case of Jamison's family remains unsolved, their loved ones believe that the investigation is nearing its end, and they will soon have the answers they have been searching for, even if it means closure may never be fully achieved. Next up on case number 7, which is another mind-boggling case, we have the disappearance of Asher Degree. The disappearance of Asher Degree is a haunting mystery that has confounded investigators and captivated the public for over 2 decades. On the night of February 8, 2000, 9-year-old Asher left her family's home in Shelby, North Carolina, in the middle of the night. She was last seen walking along Highway 18, carrying a backpack and wearing a long-sleeved white shirt and jeans. Despite an extensive search by law enforcement and the community, Asher has never been found. The circumstances of Asher's disappearance are particularly puzzling. There was no sign of forced entry or struggle at her home, and Asher's family reported that she had never run away or shown any signs of unhappiness. However, investigators discovered that Asher had packed her backpack with clothes and personal items, suggesting that she had planned to leave. Over the years, several leads and possible sightings have been reported, but none have led to definitive answers. One of the most puzzling clues was a bag of candy wrappers and a pencil found in a shed near where Asher was last seen. The wrappers were later linked to a local business, and investigators believe they may have been dropped by Asher. However, the significance of the pencil remains unknown. Despite extensive efforts by law enforcement and the community, the case remains unsolved. Asher's family continues to hold out hope that she will one day be found and that justice will be served. The disappearance of Asher Degree is a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of never giving up hope. As we continue to search for answers, we honor Asher's memory and keep her spirit alive, knowing that one day the truth may finally be revealed. Let's dive into the next jaw-dropping case, case number 6, the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. On the evening of May 3, 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann disappeared from her family's holiday apartment in Praia da Luz, Portugal. The circumstances surrounding Madeleine's disappearance are deeply unsettling. Her parent, Kate, and Jerry McCann had left Madeleine and her twin siblings alone in the apartment while they dined at a nearby restaurant with friends. When they returned around 10 p.m., they discovered that Madeleine was missing. The front door of the apartment was open, and the window shutters had been forced open and Madeleine missing from her bed, suggesting that someone had entered the apartment and abducted Madeleine. Despite a massive search effort and international media attention, Madeleine's whereabouts remain unknown to this day. The case of Madeleine McCann has captivated the world's attention for over a decade, with numerous theories and speculations about what may have happened to her. Despite a high-profile investigation involving Portuguese police, British police, and private investigators hired by the McCann family, no significant breakthroughs have been made in the case. Several suspects have been identified and investigated, but no one has been charged with Madeleine's disappearance. Some have suggested that Madeleine was abducted by a stranger, while others believe that her parents may have been involved in her disappearance. There have been reported sightings of Madeleine in various countries over the years, but none have been confirmed. The investigation into Madeleine's disappearance has been a complex and controversial one. The Portuguese police initially treated the case as a missing persons inquiry, but it soon became a criminal investigation. Madeleine's parents were initially considered suspects, but they were later cleared of any involvement. There have been several suspects identified and questioned by police over the years, but no arrests have been made. Despite the lack of progress in the case, Madeleine's parents have remained determined to find their daughter. They have continued to raise awareness about her disappearance and have worked tirelessly to keep her case in the public eye. The investigation remains open, and authorities continue to follow up on new leads and information as it arises. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann is a tragic and heartbreaking case that has left many unanswered questions. The search for answers and the hope of finding Madeleine alive continue to inspire people around the world to come together and support her family. The mystery surrounding the disappearance of Madeleine remains unresolved, but her family is confident that justice will be served soon, offering them some solace. Our thoughts remain with Madeleine's family. If you thought that was shocking, wait until you hear case number 5. The disappearance of Chandra Levy. Chandra Levy was a 24-year-old intern for the Federal Bureau of Prisons who disappeared on May 1, 2001, while living in Washington, D.C. Her disappearance sparked a nationwide manhunt, but it wasn't until over a year later that her remains were found in a park in the city. The investigation into her disappearance and murder was complicated and involved several twists and turns. Initially, the police focused on Gary Condit, a California congressman who had been having an affair with Levy at the time of her disappearance. Levy's relationship with Congressman Gary Condit added to the intrigue of the case. Condit was a married man and 30 years her senior, and while he was initially a suspect in the case, however, he was eventually cleared of any involvement in her murder. The investigation then turned to Ingmar Guandik, an illegal immigrant who had a history of assaulting women in the same park where Levy's remains were found. He was eventually convicted of her murder, but the case was not without controversy. The prosecution's case relied heavily on the testimony of a jailhouse informant who claimed Guandik had confessed to the crime. However, this witness was later found to be unreliable, and Guandik's conviction was eventually overturned. The case remains unsolved to this day, and it is unclear who was responsible for Chandra Levy's murder. Her family and loved ones continue to seek answers and closure, while the mystery of her death lingers on in the public consciousness. In the end, the murder of Chandra Levy stands as a tragic reminder of the dangers that lurk in the community. It is a story of love, betrayal, and ultimately loss, and also a story of resilience, as the investigation into her death continues to this day, and her memory lives on in the hearts of her family and friends. Moving on to case number 4, the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. Natalee Holloway was an 18-year-old American high school graduate who went missing on May 30, 2005, during a trip to Aruba. She was last seen leaving a bar with 3 young men, Joran van der Sloot, Deepak Kalpo, and Satish Kalpo. Despite an extensive investigation by Aruban authorities and the involvement of the FBI, Natalee's disappearance remains a mystery to this day. The case has been surrounded by controversy from the beginning, with allegations of misconduct on the part of Aruban law enforcement and accusations of a cover-up. The 3 young men were arrested and released multiple times during the investigation, and while Joran van der Sloot was initially considered a suspect, no one has ever been charged in connection with Natalee's disappearance. The case gained international attention, and Natalee's family has been vocal in their search for answers. In the years following her disappearance, several leads and tips have been pursued, including a supposed confession by Joran van der Sloot caught on camera in 2008. However, these leads have not resulted in any concrete evidence or resolution to the case. Joran van der Sloot, the main suspect in the case, was later linked to the disappearance of another woman, Stephanie Flores Ramirez, in Peru. Stephanie Flores Ramirez was found dead in van der Sloot's hotel room in Lima, Peru in 2010. He later confessed to killing her and was sentenced to 28 years in prison. However, he has never been charged in connection with Natalee Holloway's disappearance. Despite the lack of progress in the investigation, the case of Natalee Holloway continues to capture the public's imagination and raise important questions about the safety of young travelers abroad and the limits of law enforcement in cases involving multiple jurisdictions. Natalee's family has not given up hope and continues to seek justice and closure for their daughter. The disappearance of Natalee Holloway is a tragic and perplexing case that has left a lasting impact on her family members. Until answers are found, The mystery surrounding Natalee's disappearance will continue to haunt us all. On to the number 3 shocking case, we have the disappearance of Amber Tuccaro. Amber Tuccaro was a young Indigenous woman from Mikisew Cree First Nation, Alberta, Canada. She disappeared on August 18, 2010, while visiting Edmonton with her 14-month-old son. Amber had traveled to Edmonton to visit some friends and attend a medical appointment, but she was never seen alive again. Amber Tuccaro's case received little attention at the time of her disappearance, and her family and friends had to fight for years to have it taken seriously. However, the case gained national and international attention in 2012, when the police released a recording of a phone conversation between Amber and an unknown man believed to be her killer. In the recording, Amber can be heard trying to get information about where the man is taking her while he is driving her to an unknown location. The audio recording provided some clues, including the killer's voice, but it was not enough to identify him. The case remains unsolved, and Amber's family is still waiting for justice. Her disappearance and the lack of attention it received have raised questions about the systemic racism and discrimination that Indigenous women face in Canada and the failure of the justice system to protect them. Amber Tuccaro's story is just one of many, but it serves as a reminder of the ongoing violence and injustices faced by Indigenous people in Canada. We continue to demand accountability and justice for Amber and all missing and murdered Indigenous women. As we reflect on Amber Tuccaro's case, we must also acknowledge and honor the strength and resilience of Indigenous women who continue to fight for justice and the rights of their communities. The enigma of Amber Tuccaro's disappearance and murder persists to date, but her family remains optimistic that the culprit will be identified soon, offering some form of resolution, albeit incomplete. Case number 2 is another unbelievable case we have, the murder of Molly Bish. In the summer of 2000, the small town of Warren, Massachusetts was rocked by the disappearance of 16-year-old lifeguard Molly Bish. Bish was last seen at her post on Cummins Pond on June 27, 2000. Her mother, Magi, had dropped her off at work that day, only to find her daughter's lifeguard chair and personal belongings left behind later that afternoon. The search for Molly began immediately, with police and volunteers combing the area for any sign of the missing teenager. Unfortunately, it was not until 3 years later, in 2003, that her remains were discovered in a remote wooded area of nearby Palmer, Massachusetts. Her murder case has remained unsolved for over 20 years, despite numerous leads and investigations. The Bish family has been relentless in their pursuit of justice for Molly. Her mother, Magi, has dedicated her life to keeping Molly's memory alive and advocating for increased public safety measures. The family created the Molly Bish Foundation, which works to raise awareness of child safety and advocate for legislative change. The foundation also provides support and resources to families of missing persons. The investigation into Molly's murder has been one of the most extensive in Massachusetts history, with over 6,000 leads and 13,000 interviews conducted. The case has also received national attention, with segments on popular true crime shows. Despite all of this, the killer has not been identified and the case remains unsolved. The murder of Molly Bish is a tragedy that has deeply affected the community of Warren and beyond. It is a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of vigilance when it comes to the safety of our loved ones. The Bish family's unwavering dedication to finding justice for Molly is an inspiration, and their advocacy for child safety has undoubtedly saved countless lives. We can only hope that one day the killer will be brought to justice, and Molly's memory can be honored with the closure and peace she deserves. And we move to the last shocking case, case number 1, which is unbelievable, the murder of Elizabeth Mandala. Elizabeth Mandala was a young Texas girl, and she seemed to lead the typical life of a popular high school senior in Sugar Land, Texas. She was beautiful, social, and had a love for horses. However, there was another side to her that many did not know about. As an adventurous soul, Elizabeth was also an exotic dancer at a cabaret club in the nearby town of Pasadena. Performing under the stage name Lovely, she quickly became a crowd favorite, with her picture even featured in a guide to Houston area nightlife. Despite her involvement with the National FFA organization, Elizabeth's family members suggested that she was more interested in pursuing a different career path. Her mother stated that Elizabeth had expressed an interest in becoming a coyote, a slang term for those who traffic humans across the US border. Elizabeth's double life eventually led to a mysterious and violent death, causing widespread speculation and drawing the ire of internet commentators who could not possibly know the whole story. The disappearance of Elizabeth Mandala is a baffling case that remains unsolved to this day. Elizabeth was last seen alive on Wednesday, April 27, 2011, leaving her mother's home. The following day, a message was posted to her Facebook page claiming that she was in Mexico and would return on Thursday. However, her mother reported Elizabeth missing around noon on Saturday, April 30th, 2011, just 3 days later. Her mother stated that Elizabeth had led her to believe that she was headed to Mexico to meet up with someone. However, later that day, Mexican authorities found her body along with 2 men, Dante Ruiz Silla and Luis Angel Estrella Mondragon. Their bodies were found in a crashed truck in the small town of Mina. At first, authorities believed that the 3 had been involved in an automobile accident. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that the purported accident was, in fact, an orchestrated facade designed to conceal the gruesome reality of 3 premeditated homicides. Silla, a merchant, and Mondragon, a cab driver, were discovered at the accident scene with several falsified identification documents in their possession. The peculiar circumstance of their presence alongside Elizabeth remained shrouded in mystery and left both the authorities and the families of the deceased perplexed. Despite the baffling nature of the situation, the U.S. consulate has remained steadfast in its commitment to assisting Elizabeth's family and Mexican authorities in uncovering the truth behind this mysterious tragedy. Amidst various speculations swirling around, one intriguing theory regarding Elizabeth's disappearance suggests that she might have ventured into Mexico to delve into the clandestine world of illegal immigrant smuggling driven by her infatuation with quick money. Nonetheless, it's worth noting that there is no concrete evidence to corroborate this hypothesis. The disappearance of Elizabeth Mandala is a tragic event that has left her family and loved ones with more questions than answers. Despite the passage of time, the investigation into Elizabeth Mandala's case continues, and her family holds on to the belief that the culprit will be caught, providing them with some measure of closure. As we come to the end of today's episode on some of the most shocking and mysterious unsolved criminal cases, we are left with many questions and a deep sense of intrigue. These cases have captured our attention and imagination, reminding us of the fragility of life and the importance of justice. While the stories we've explored today remain unresolved, they serve as a powerful reminder of the need for continued efforts to solve unsolved crimes and bring closure to the families and loved ones of the victims. We hope that by shedding light on these cases, we can raise awareness and inspire others to join in the search for answers. We encourage you to share your thoughts and insights about these cases in the comments below and continue to follow the latest developments in the ongoing investigations. Together, we can make a difference and help bring justice to those who have been impacted by these tragic events. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video with your family and friends to reach a wider audience. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to sharing more stories with you in the future. Stay safe, and we'll see you on our next episode.